Hello everyone, welcome you all. In the last video, we discussed about the basics of embedded system. And in continuation with that, this is the second video of the continued topic. As I have said earlier, the microprocessor is the heart of embedded system. So, in this session, we will go one step deep into the concept of microprocessors. So now, let's start our session. The topics to be covered in this session are definition of the microprocessor, application of the microprocessor, composition, working of the microprocessor, and at last we will see the history of microprocessor. First of all, we will take a look at a microprocessor based system. This is the block diagram of a simple microprocessor based system. Here we can see that there are four major components. First one is the input unit, which can be a sensor or a switch. Second unit is the output unit, which can be an LED, drive, or a motor. Third unit is the memory unit. A memory unit is a unit where programs are stored. Power supply is needed to power the processor for its proper functioning. And at last, the most essential part, processor, which is the heart of this microprocessor based system. For example, let us consider an application of blinking an LED whenever a switch is pressed. Switch here acts as an input device, LED the output device. A dedicated program is stored in the memory according to the application. Supply is needed to power the system. Thus, the required task of blinking the LED gets accomplished because the microprocessor takes the required action on receiving the necessary input, that is, the switch input signal. Without the processor, this system is of no use. Now let's go through the basic definition of a microprocessor. A microprocessor is a programmable device, means we can program it according to the requirement of the application. According to the need, we can make the program to execute. Thus, we can say that a microprocessor is a device which processes the given instructions stored in the memory unit. It gives a particular output whenever a necessary condition is met or when the system receives a particular input information. Just like the previous example which we considered, blinking of LED takes place only when the switch is pressed. Today, microprocessors can be found in the form of an IC, integrated circuit. An integrated circuit is an electronic circuit fabricated on a single piece of silicon chip, a semiconductor material. Now, let's understand the composition of a microprocessor. Microprocessor consists of three main units. These three units are enclosed in a single package, which we term it as a microprocessor. The first unit is Arithmetic Logic Unit, ALU. ALU performs various essential mathematical and logical operations inside the microprocessor. The second unit is the Control Unit. To perform the above mentioned operations, microprocessor needs to generate some control signals such as memory read, memory write, input read, input write, etc. These signals are generated by the control unit. The third unit is registers. The data on which various operations to be performed needs to be stored somewhere temporarily inside the microprocessor. Thus, the registers provide temporary storage place for the data inside the processor. After understanding the basic definition of a microprocessor and the composition of microprocessor. Now, let's understand the actual working of the microprocessor. We know instructions in the form of program are stored in the memory unit. The microprocessor performs three basic and essential operations on each of the instruction in a program. The first operation is fetching the instruction. The instruction is fetched inside the microprocessor from the memory unit. The second operation is to decode the instruction. It means the microprocessor actually tries to understand what task it has to perform. And then, after decoding the instruction, it actually executes the instruction. This is also called the three-cycle instruction execution model. These three basic operations are performed sequentially in the same manner on each and every instruction in a program. Every microprocessor present in the world today performs its function in this manner only. Now finally, let's go through the history of microprocessors. In the early days of electrical and electronic circuits, to control the flow of charge, vacuum tubes were used. Later in 1947, transistors were invented at Bell Laboratories. Transistors replaced vacuum tubes in electronic circuits. After the research and advancement in the field of embedded, the concept of MOS was introduced in electronic circuits. MOS technology is the advanced version of transistors. Later, the ICs replaced the transistors. IC is nothing but integrated circuits. The first microprocessor was launched by Intel Corporation in 1971. It was named as Intel 4004 and was based on MOS technology. This was the first and essential step in the field of microprocessors and microcontrollers. The first microprocessor which gained success is Intel 8085 microprocessor. It was the first commercial microprocessor. It was a big success then, and even today we find some applications based on 8085 microprocessor. So far we have covered the above mentioned topics: definition of a microprocessor, application of microprocessor, its composition, working of the microprocessor, and at last we also have covered the history of microprocessor. Thank you.